Good afternoon. It is 12:45 p.m. It is August 17th. Happy Thursday. I decided to come on here and make a video. I have been working on my work search skills, and I think, everyone knows I've had some problems in the past with, stalking and, you know, obnoxious job ads or whatever. So I'm trying to, you know, get the strength, the nerve to deal with work searches because, as I think I've mentioned before, that when you deal with that form of harassment, it does cause a lot of anxiety. So I literally have to ease myself into my work searches. This morning I got up and with the intention of looking for work. I actually wanted to start a few days before, but it's always this issue of, am I going to deal with trauma issues? So obviously I have, when you're on unemployment, you have this like window span. Each week you're supposed to be looking for work. And so, I have till Saturday, and of course, I would like to get started hopefully tonight. If not, I have to definitely get busy on Saturday. But I am trying to work on my negotiation skills and my communication skills when it comes to talking to employers. And no, I certainly do not want to go into a stalking, dialogue with them or anything. You hope that you're able to conduct or be able to participate in a job interview um, without bringing that up. I would like to, but sometimes it's going to play a certain part in issues if certain things get brought up. What I need is time for adjustment. You know, um, this has been a very like traumatic experience for me, which most people think is nothing. It is for me. I think it's because of the magnitude of it, like having too much attention being focused on me. Knowing that everyone was targeting Maria Gordon, that's a very disturbing thing. And it's very nerve wracking and just shattering to a person. It affects a person in so many ways. And I deal with that. So I'm preparing for my future, when it comes to talking to employers so that I can, have the ability to speak, be understood, and then also, lay foundations for my future. I think I've talked about, I have different skills that can be used in the workplace. And I would say my creative skills, are kind of on the back burner. I mean, I'm willing to use them, but the thing is, like I mentioned about the software, and I'm still a newbie when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So it's about me being able to kind of balance what I have to offer and making sure that whatever I do, I can use whatever experience that I continue to that I've gained in the past, and then also gain in whatever job that I'll be doing in the future into whatever it is I choose to do, as I go on, further down the line in the future. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of re-strategizing in my mind. For perps that are sitting here on the sidelines wondering, well, she needs to do this, she needs to do that, I need to go look for work. I understand that, okay, but I am very, very oversensitized by everything that I had to deal with, especially like the beginning of the week when I went into the court thingy and all that other stuff. All of it is a lot on me, believe it or not. So anyway, I was thinking, last night as I was laying down that when it comes to a lot of these professionals, like therapists and stuff like that, I had mentioned before that there's a therapist who, on one of my videos, that specializes in victims who have been victims of like domestic stalking, things like that. And I think it's important that therapists start paying attention to this issue, seeing as how there's so many people just here in the United States alone. Now, this is an issue that's going on worldwide, but like just focusing right now here in the United States, it is becoming a very earth-shattering problem, and you get a lot of people who don't understand um, what that person is going through. They're going through a lot of hypersensitivity. They're going through a lot of fear, anxiety. And some people would say, hey, this is just people that who were stalking you. Exactly. When you see a side of a person that you never knew existed, it freaks you out. Like it's like, wow, you hate me that much, right? Yeah, it's a lot on a person. So you feel very threatened, and you it's a normal reaction, especially since it lasted so long. So I do think that that's something that should be introduced into that sort of profession, so that more people have some sort of resource. Because I would say just about everybody's isolated now. Like, it is a targeted individual problem. It is, but it seems as though, like, since the advent of like Facebook and these social media um, websites, it seems as though social interaction is becoming a thing of the past. I've seen a bunch of videos that people have posted in the last 3 years about them having no friends. Now, mind you, I'm backing up a little bit. Um, Mind you, I'm 52 years old, but these are kids who were like 18, just straight coming out of high school. Okay, they start from this age all the way up to adulthood, and I'm talking people who are even older than me are posting a shitload of videos on YouTube talking about they don't have any friends. And I do think we have become so accustomed to staying in the comforts of our home and not having that sort of interaction that we used to have. Like, it was a very common thing a long time ago for people to have barbecues and bring people over, um, make sort of like week dates. You know what I mean, with your friends or whatever. That has become, and well, mind you, all my friends are basically got involved in this, so I don't see them anymore. But um, what I'm saying is that there's just so very little um, support. There's so very little friendships, and not just with targets, but I'm talking about everybody. But when it comes to a target, though, it feels like, in my situation, you're isolated. So for like a long, long time, when I would work out, when I was working out in Buttonwillow or whatever, I think that was a very dark time for me. But at the same time, I understand that it's not exactly a good thing for someone like me who's been through workplace mobbing, a community harassment issue, and then feeling comfortable in a large group of people. That's not even realistic at this point. So there has to be a balance. Like, so when targets, like myself, who have been victims of multiple harassment issues and been a target, I think it's important for them to understand what kind of work schedules and what kind of environments they need to walk into or not walk into. I think for me, it would be kind of a combination of both, perhaps. I would prefer to work at home, but if I could go into an office like every few days or something, that's okay. But it's a lot on me. I feel as though, and I think most people in this community know that I was not, I didn't commit adultery. I wasn't married to my son's father. I was not this slut, that people thought that I was. And, the gossip and the, about that and the religious thing. And just, when you hear things from people, obviously, you got to question whether there's bullshit coming out. And generally, when bullshit gets cycled, like gossip or rumors or whatever, this should be a lesson to you. It's mostly bullshit. It's like, the reason why it's being promoted so much is because it is bullshit. Nobody ever circulates truth in a frenzy. You know what I mean? But still, just dealing with having to, when I had to go through being a victim of somebody who was basically a target for hatred in a workplace environment, that you don't want to be overly stimulated. So I have to strike a balance there. So, I'm doing the best I can, and I would like to see something like that in the future. I don't have any, direct control, or any control really, over what goes on out in the world, but I do certainly see a need for targets, and they need protection, they need direction, because especially in situations where they're being put in jobs that's kind of beyond their control. And sometimes, the perpetrator might think that they're ready to do this, and this, when in fact they're not ready to do this. Like I couldn't work for a company where they had like a huge building with like 500 people, where I'm crammed in with a bunch of people. I would feel like, oh my gosh, 500 people are basically plotting against me and hating me and whatever. So it's not an easy thing for people who've been a victim of this to deal with. So anyway, so basically this week, that's pretty much what I've been thinking about. Like, rewording things, trying to gain my strength for dealing with, things that I feel I'm not comfortable with anymore. You know what I mean? But I kind of have to do it because I don't have any other way of taking care of myself. I have to work, and I have to face my future, regardless of my anxieties, which are deep, okay? They're very deep, and the trauma is very, very, very real. So, I really haven't left the house since I came back home on Monday. I haven't. I've just been kind of in the house, either working on my writing stuff or, re-strategizing my work search, meaning like, wording things, rewording things, rearranging things, that sort of stuff. And then like cleaning my house. It's been really kind of a tough time for me, especially in the last, I would say, 2 years. It's just been like one anxiety-inducing thing after another, and it's been really, really hard on me since definitely leaving the farmer's place. So, but it is my goal, because I am trying to pick up other interests, again, and I would like to talk about other things besides, my trauma and, the social injustice of, all of these sort of things. I get tired of it, and it's like, you wake up and becomes your only reality, and it's just a very dark, sad, only a very dark, sad thing for a person. Um, and then you go through these issues like, well, what could have happened if this never happened? If I never got involved with this, got sucked into this, like what would my life have been like? And I keep thinking it would have been a hell of a lot better. It would have been a hell of a lot better, but it is what it is, and you just deal with whatever happens and whatever happened, and you just try to strategize a way to get your way through. Like, there really isn't any professional information on people like myself who've dealt with this sort of thing, the aftermath of it. It talks about, it describes, a lot of people have written books and articles and stuff about the psychological effects of it, blah, 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 blah. But as far as like picking yourself up again, like literally, how do you do that? Step by step, I have not seen anything like that. And there certainly needs to be somebody who can provide that for somebody. Me right now, this is trial and error. Some people are like, well, you apply for a job, you either get it or you don't. I mean, that's fine, but there's a lot of mental anguish behind that. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of depression, and there's a lot of feelings of not trusting people that you interact with, and that's not a good thing. How does a person deal with that? Um, it's a lot. It's a lot on a person. So anyway, but there definitely needs that. There's definitely a need for more people in those professions to start noticing and being able to tend to people who are stalking victims. And definitely there should be more resources available to them. I personally think that if a person's been a victim of gang stalking, that they should have the ability to perhaps seek out another identity if necessary. Like they have like witness protection programs. I don't know exactly how those work. I thought that some of that included, perhaps giving another person another identity, allowing them to move, start over again, something along those lines. I think that would be good. I know that, generally gang stalking goes pretty much like a kind of a viral type thing, but there should be some way of reversing the effects and helping that target get back on their feet, helping that person be independent, helping that person, and then awareness is one thing, which I have promoted this issue. I've been on this channel since 2015. I think awareness is important. You know, and that's, I understand, you know, that there's a lot of things that employers do that are common. They don't think anything of it. You know, you've heard the expression or that term, you know, friends and business don't mix. You don't mix those two. I would say that's true in a lot of ways, okay? Because I know when you deal with gang stalking, it's usually a friend of the perp that arranges the job or well, whatever, you know. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the thing is, they bring in their personal issues and their arguments into the workplace, and this is where it becomes a problem, okay? And it's very difficult, you know, for people to not take sides, you know, and it's that sort of thing, you know. This is where it becomes, you know, an issue. Um, and I certainly didn't want to take sides or have an argument with anyone. You know, I just try to live my life and try to move on, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do, you know. There's been a lot of years that have been taken from me, and I feel like I've missed out on so much in life, you know, that, you know, I feel like my time is really precious to me, you know, and it's a very sad situation to be in if you have been a victim of something like this. But hopefully, I will one day live to tell how to get over this. How do you start over again? You know, how does a person start over again? And if I get there, I will definitely help other people with what I know. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another one sometime later. Take care.